Good afternoon. Hopefully everyone is doing well today. This is Curtis with 3-Tier Defense. Today is a very, very important video. I'm going to talk about storing your firearms safely around children. This video is, I'm going to try not to make it a very long video, but this is a very, very important video. And I was going to hold this video and do it a little later, but I said I need to go ahead and do it now. So I'm going to go ahead and move some of my other videos back and go ahead and concentrate on this one because this is a very, very important video. First off, we're going to start with a few different firearms that I have here on the table. I have a shotgun. I have a rifle, an AR rifle. Have a couple handguns here. And we have a few different locking mechanisms, or I have a safe with me as well. That way I can show you how to use this safe. The safe that I have here is actually in my vehicle, but you can use it at home as well to store your firearms and to lock them up. Make sure they're safe around children. First thing I'm going to go ahead and start with is the handguns. I have two handguns here. I have a Springfield 4-inch 9mm Mod 2, and I also have a Glock 23 or a Glock G23, which is a 40 caliber. But both handguns, these the way that I'm going to show you how you can actually lock your handguns up around children is good with all type of handguns, semi-automatic handguns, revolvers, and anything that you have basically in a handgun form. We're going to discuss those. This here, a lot of your firearms now, I know they come in the Springfield, I know they come in the Glock. This here is for the Springfield. Now it does have XD on here to show that that's for Springfield. I'm sorry, I'm working on two different platforms here. But this one here is actually out of the Glock box. So both of these manufacturers actually send locking handgun locking tools in their actual cases. You also have a trigger lock, which is like this. This trigger lock actually came in my Canik case. All right. So you have a couple different options for locking up your handguns around children. I'm gonna go ahead and set that over here. My Canik, I'm not going to really be doing anything with my Canik today. I just went ahead and brought it down. That way I can make sure I put the trigger lock back into the case. Well, I'll be doing a little bit with my Canik. Won't really be a whole lot, but I'll do a little bit with my Canik. And this is my Canik here. This is a Canik 9mm Combat Executive. But as always, what we're going to do, the Springfield does not have a magazine in it, so that's clear. There's no rounds or anything in the barrel as well. The Glock does have a magazine in it, but the magazine is empty. I'm going to go ahead and take the magazine out of it. All right. Now first, what we're going to do, I'm going to go ahead and take the handgun lock. Like I say, this is the Glock handgun lock, but again, the Springfield is the same way. So you'll be able to lock your firearms up the same way with any type of lock that you have like this, the handgun lock. Let's see. They do come with the keys on them also. So you do have two keys for the handgun locks. Now there's two ways that you can actually use this lock to lock your firearm up. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and show you both ways. I'm gonna go ahead and take the Springfield lock out as well. I'm gonna show you one way with the Glock and one way with the Springfield. Either way you do it, if you do plan on using these type of locks, either way you do it is they both will be safe. If you have any children or anything in the home, if you have children that come over a lot and you do have firearms in the home, all right, go ahead and get that one locked. All right, so the first way that you can actually do it, like I say, I'll do it with the lock here. With your slide open, both ways, you want to make sure that the slide is open. All right. So with your handgun lock, you can feed it down through your slide out of your magazine well here on the bottom. All right, and you can lock it on the bottom, up underneath. So I'm gonna go ahead and get this put back in and get this locked. I'm also going to go over the pros and cons of locking your firearms up. All right, we got that one locked. I'm going to go ahead and lock up the Springfield also. On the second way that you can lock it, with the slide open, instead of locking it here at the bottom, you can actually feed the handgun lock down through your barrel and lock it here at the bottom of the, at the top of the muzzle. This also depends on what caliber you have as well. You can really do it either way, either through the front or you can do it through the back also. But like I say, doing it this way, it depends on what caliber you have and what type of gun lock you actually have. Because these gun locks are a little thicker. So if you have a smaller caliber, like a 22 or something like that, possibly like a 380, it may not fit down into the barrel. So the best way for you to do it is to actually do it this way and run it down through the slide and out of the magazine well at the bottom. So we can actually bring that through, and it's going in through the slide, and we can actually lock it here on the back side. So it's locked through the backside. They cannot put a bullet or projectile or anything down into the barrel. You can't even close the slide on the barrel because this is stopping it. You can put a magazine in the bottom of it, but you can't feed around actually into the chamber. Locking it up that way. Locking it up this way, you can't put a magazine into the bottom of it, and you can't feed around into the chamber. If you take a single round, you can put it down into the chamber doing this way. You can put it down, but you can't actually close the slide to where the firing pin is not in contact with the back of the bullet. If you try to do it this way, even as you see when we closing the slide, you still can't even pull the trigger. So that actually locks the firearm. Okay, so you can store one of these two ways when you have children around. And that actually stopped them from even closing the slide for that firing pin to be on the back of the primer on that bullet. So they still can't even shoot the firearm. Just like with this one here, I'm pulling the trigger, it's not going off. So both of these ways are actually locking the firearm around children. Now, one of my things with actually storing it this way is because, let's say if you storing it at night and you have a break-in, okay? You have to try to find the key, unlock the lock, put your magazine in, go ahead and rack around into the chamber, and go ahead and clear your house, okay? That takes a lot of time, especially if you wake up in the middle of the night to an intruder coming into your home. You have to try to find the key. Now, you have to think about all of this when your adrenaline is pumping, you're nervous, things like that. You might be a little shaky, you might be a little jumpy. So you have to try to find the key, get the key into the lock to go ahead and get the lock taken off. Put your magazine in to go ahead and clear your house. So that's one of the downfalls to actually locking your firearm up this way. There, you don't have any quick accessibility to it to be able to go ahead and clear your house. And then it also depends on what type of home you stay in. If it's a one-level home, if it's a two-story home, if you have 2 stories and then you have a basement as well, depending on where your rooms are set up at and things like that. You may have a room downstairs, your room may be upstairs. If a person breaks in, they're breaking in downstairs. So you have to do a lot of stuff to even be able to go downstairs to protect whoever is downstairs in your home. So you have to be careful with locking your firearm up different ways. Like I say, with this one, it's one of the best ways to lock it up around children, but you also have to think about what may happen in the middle of the night with your firearms locked up like this as well. So like I say, I'm going to go over a couple different ways that you can lock your firearm up that would be good, especially for having children in the house. But I'm going to also give you the pros and cons of these as well. That way you can make your best judgment on what would be better for you and how locking up your firearm around children will be more beneficial to your actual lifestyle. I'm going to go ahead and take these locks off, and I'm going to show another way. Now with Glock, with some of your Smith & Wessons, with your Springfield actually has a bit of an advantage. The way that they actually have their box set up. I didn't bring a lock down here with me, but I'll kind of show you on the box, on the Springfield box. I'm going to go ahead and take this out. Move that to the side. All right. Again, this is the Springfield box. All of their firearms don't come in a box like this. I know I purchased the Hellcat. Hellcat actually comes in like a cardboard box. So you'll have to buy some type of box like this to store your firearm in if you do have children. But the thing that I like about the Springfield box, here on the front side, you actually have your latches here to unlock it. But on both sides, right here, you actually have openness. So in case you want to put a lock or something like that on here, so when you put your firearm in here, you can actually put a lock on the case itself to lock the case. That way your child can't get into the case to even get the firearm. I'm gonna go ahead and set the firearm in the case. And they actually have the case cut for the firearm and the magazines as well. So it's actually cut for it. So I'll go ahead and put the firearm in here. It sits down into the case. We'll go ahead and close it. Drop the latches. And again, like I say, you can go ahead and put you a lock on the outside of the case. That way, if you do have any children in the home, they can't open the case, even if you do have your firearm in the case. If you have the magazines in the case with the firearm, if the magazines are loaded, you can actually put the magazines over on the side that's fitted for the magazines. In this case here, we have 2 different cuts for magazines. So a magazine will go here, and a magazine will go here on the bottom. This is for your extended magazine. This is for your shorter magazine. So you can have your magazines in there. You can go ahead and have your magazines loaded. Put your firearm and your magazines in the case. Close it. Go ahead and latch it. And go ahead and put you a lock onto the case itself. All right. Again, that'll stop children from getting into your box to even get to the firearm, to get to the magazines or anything like that. On the Glock case, you still have your latches here, but you don't have any holes or anything for an actual lock like your Springfield case does. But another thing you can do, if you do have a Glock and you do have the case and want to go with that option as far as putting your firearm into the case, the case is not cut for your firearm, but they do have enough room in here for your firearm, for your magazines, and things like that. So what you can do, you can take your firearm, you can go ahead and put your firearm into the case. You can take your magazines, if they're loaded, You can go ahead and take your magazines, put that into the case as well. Go ahead and latch it. And what you can do with this as well, like I said, if you want to go this route, you can actually take your handgun lock and you can feed it through the actual handle on the case. Alright, so now we got the handgun lock, feed it through the handle on the case. But this is how far you have it to open. So they can still get the firearm out of this case by just sliding it out. Alright, so you have to be careful if you were thinking about doing that way. Another thing you can do is get a either a smaller handgun lock or go to Home Depot, Lowe's, something like that, and get a lock that actually fit over the handle itself. That way you can go ahead and lock this case if you want to make sure children, things like that, can't get into your actual case on your firearm. Go ahead and take this out. Now on your trigger lock, which is actually this one, this goes over the trigger itself. They have, there's another model of this out. This one, there's a small little key. I don't know if you can see, there's two little holes here on the front, which is where you'll actually lock it to tighten it down. But they have one out now that actually has a key to it. So it's a little bit quicker. That way you only just have to take the key, go ahead and open it, and take this out. And with the trigger lock is basically just, you know, what it is. It goes over the trigger itself. So it goes over the trigger itself. And basically, down here on the bottom, you have these little grooves here. All right, that would really tell you that it goes this way, because these little grooves here are fitted for the bottom part of your trigger guard. Okay, and it'll basically fit onto your trigger like this. So it basically just stop a child from actually pulling the trigger, even if you did have a magazine in here, you had a round in the chamber, or even if you didn't have a round in the chamber, let's say you had rounds in your magazine was in there, this trigger lock will stop them from pulling the trigger. It won't stop them from racking the firearm and putting a round into the chamber, but it will stop them from pulling the trigger. All right, so that's another option that you'll have. The thing with this one, if you get the one with the key to it, it's, like I said, it's a lot easier. It'll be a lot quicker. But the one that has the two little holes here to lock and unlock it, that'll be a lot tougher. And it'll take a lot more time to get this off of your firearm in a defensive situation if you need to clear your home, as far as like a break-in or something like that. So you have those options on what you can do with locking the firearm up. I also have, like I said, I have a safe over here. This safe I usually keep in my vehicle, and this is actually a good thing as well. If you have your children in your vehicle, you have a firearm in the vehicle, something like that, or even if you're just in the vehicle, if you're doing concealed carry, or if you're just carrying the firearm and you have it in your vehicle. Let's say you may want to make a stop at a bank, government building, something like that. Of course, you can't take the firearm into those type of establishments. So I have this case here. Again, they have different ones out. They have this one here actually has a key to it, but they have different ones out. They have a fingerprint. They have some that have codes on it, so you can get the one that actually be best for you. Like I say, I usually keep this in the car, and a key one is fine for my needs. Now, if you was using this inside of your home, again, you have the same. You basically have the same deal. You have to have a key. All right. If you did have your firearm in here, all right. Now this comes with an extra piece of foam. I actually took it out. That way my firearm can sit in here, and it'll close with no problems. Like I say, depending on what type of firearm you put in this case, you may have to take that piece of foam out. But I just took it out, put it off to the side. That way the firearm can fit in here. Go ahead and drop the magazine back out again. Now, this case here, depending on the size of your firearm, you may be able to put 2 firearms in this case. I believe this is maybe an extra large case or safe, but you may be able to put 2 firearms in here. You may only be able to put 1, depending on if you have attachments or anything like that on your firearm. This one has a flashlight on it, but usually when I'm out carrying or something like that, I don't have a flashlight on it. This one's in my safe right now, but I'm just using this for demonstrational purposes. But with this, you can go ahead and put your firearm in here. Again, if you have the magazine in it, or if you want to take the magazine out, you can just lay your magazine in the safe as well. Go ahead and close it and lock it. All right. So again, you have the key. If you have firearms that you carry in your vehicle, stuff like that. If you leave your firearm in your vehicle over time, if you have your firearm on you and you're going to work, can't take your firearm into your job, you can go ahead and put it into this your safe, and it'll be there when you come out. Now this safe has this little wire right here with it. This wire actually goes underneath the bottom of your front seat, around the metal part, the frame of your front seat. You'll put this around the bottom of it, and you will actually connect it to the safe itself. Let me go ahead and open this back up. Over on the side of this safe, you have a notch where the wire will actually sit into the notch on this safe. All right, so when you open the safe, right here on the back side, you have a little notch to where you can take this entire port out. Okay? It just sits into the notch that way. That way you can close it. When you lock it, they can't pull it out. If someone tries to break in your car, something like that, they can't just pull this out to take the safe. Make sure you wrap it around the bottom part of your seat. And to do that, the only thing you would do, go ahead and open your safe. Take this end out. Wrap it around the bottom of your seat. All right? Take this end and feed it through the open end. All right? So it'll basically be up under your seat like this. Either whether you need to pull it tighter or whatever, it'll be up under your seat, latched onto your seat. You can take this end and feed it into your safe. All right? So then when you close it and lock it, they can't pull that out. This will be up under your seat, so they just can't take the safe out of your vehicle. All right? This is a lot safer than putting your firearm in your glove box, putting the firearm in your armrest, or anything like that. If you're running into an establishment, going to a friend's house, or anything, you don't want to take your firearm in, this is a lot safer setup than, like I said, just put it into your glove box or your armrest on your vehicle. And of course, to take it out, if you want to unlatch it from your car, or whether if you're using this as a dual job or a dual safe, if you having it at home and then using it for the car, and then vice versa, you basically just take this part out and go ahead and just take that out through your hoop and go ahead and pull it from underneath your seat in your vehicle, and you're fine with that. You go ahead and take it in your house, store your firearm in the safe in your home for your children or anything like that, to make sure they don't get to the firearm itself. Me myself, there's a few different ways that I actually store a firearm. I have a bigger safe, but I know some people may not have the funds to get a bigger safe like the one that I actually have. But these are all great options to store your firearm. Like I said, one of the ways that I actually store my firearm here at home, I have a bedside holster, but I also have a safe that will allow me quick access to be able to pull my firearm if need be. Also, my children are older. I've been taking my children to the range, teaching them how to shoot, things like that. I started introducing them to my firearms when they were 4, maybe 5 years old. First time I took them to the range to let them shoot, they were 6, and I've just been working with them, on firearm safety, how to hold a firearm if you're picking it up, making sure you're framing your finger, make sure you keep your finger out of the trigger, all of that stuff. So I don't have any wood on here, but knock on wood, I haven't had any incidents or anything like that with my children here in the home with my firearms. All right. I know people use shotguns for home defense, so we're going to go ahead and speak about the shotguns. Alright, so I have a shotgun here. There's a couple different things that you can do dealing with the shotgun if you do have a shotgun in your home for home defense. First thing, I have some snap caps here. These are not real bullets, real slugs or anything. They're just for training, so I'm just going to go ahead and use those for now. So let's say if you have a firearm. The best way to store your firearm or your shotgun in your home, make sure you have your bullets readily available. Do not have them in the firearm itself. Do not store them in the firearm if you have children at home. All right. I know some people may have them in the buffering tube where they're loading it down at the bottom, but there's not one up here at the top. The only thing it really takes for that, some people have it where this is open and they have the rounds down there at the bottom. All right. The only thing that it would take, closing it, pulling the trigger, and then you'll have an accident. All right. So go ahead and close the bolt. This is actually locked unless you pull the trigger, or you go ahead and hit your unlock over here on the back side. This is a Mossberg, so it's up here in the front. I'm sorry, back here on the back side of your trigger guard. Remingtons are up here in the front. Okay. So you can hit that button there, this button right here, push it in to go ahead and open that up. All right. So you opening your bolt carrier group back up. But I say the best way to store these, like I say, have your rounds readily available. If you do have an incident where you need to get to your firearm quickly, make sure you have your rounds close to wherever your firearm is at, but have it either up high enough or locked up somewhere to where the child or children can't get to it. Okay? There's a couple different ways that you can load it. If it's in a speed situation where you actually need it, if you take 2 of your rounds, in this case I have 2 of the snap caps. Go ahead and open this back up. That way I can access my my feeding tube. So I can take both of these rounds, all right, up underneath the bottom. All right, I put both rounds into the tube at the bottom. Okay, take some practice. You can grab 2 rounds. You can grab 1 round. Feed it in twice. Go ahead and rack your firearm. Go ahead and go clear your home. All right, but you don't want to store your ammo in the buffering tube at the bottom, because all it takes is a pull back on your pump and a close forward. Or if you have a semi-automatic shotgun, only thing it takes is pulling back on the charging handle, letting it go, and the round is in the chamber. Then you can have your incidents or accidents and things like that with your children at home. To unload it, if you do have the rounds in the buffering tube, to unload it, down here on the bottom of this Mossberg, it'll be hard for you to see it, but over here on the side, there's actually a little lever that's holding the bullets in place. So all you really have to do is push down on that lever, and it'll actually release the round. That way you can go ahead and take it out. All right. Again, I'm just pushing down on that lever to release it. And there's both of your rounds. All right. Another way you can do it, which I've actually seen a lot of people do it this way as well, is actually feeding the rounds up through the barrel and just continue pumping it to go ahead and kick the rounds out of the side here. All right. So I'm basically holding on to the bottom. That way I can open this, and then I'm gonna close it. Keep holding on to the bottom here. I'm gonna keep opening it and pumping it until both rounds come out. All right. So if I come back, and when I close, it's going to actually put that round up into the barrel. All right. But if I open it again, I'll kick that round out. Load the other one into the chamber. I'll pump it again. Let's go kick that round out. All right. But the safest way to do it is to push in on the lever down there at the bottom on your shotgun and unload it from the buffering tube itself. That way, you don't have to worry about making a mistake and pulling the trigger when you're actually trying to feed it through the top. Alright, some other people may use a AR style firearm or AK style firearm for home defense as well. So you have your AR here. As you see, I do have the bolt carrier group and the charge open. Magazine is empty. Alright, so we have a magazine in here. If you do plan to use a AR style firearm to clear your home, best way to store this is that simple. The rifles and your handguns basically can be the same way. Take the magazine out. Even if the magazine has rounds in it, place the magazine in a different area than the firearm itself. Alright, that's the best way to make sure you'll be able to get to your firearm quickly, be able to load it quickly to go ahead and clear your home in a defensive situation, and you're still keeping it out of the hands of your child, children, anybody of younger age that's coming to your home or anything like that. You won't have any mistakes, you won't have any misfires, any accidents, or anything if you're making sure that your ammo and your firearms are separated or they're locked up. Alright. One thing I am going to do with the Canik here, I have had a little bit of work done on the trigger. This is not the traditional trigger that came with the Canik. This is actually the trigger that came with the Canik, or came on it. So I had an updated trigger actually put onto the Canik. And the only reason that I pulled this out is because I'm going to show you how quick an accident can happen when you deal with children. I have my Glock here. My Glock has the standard trigger on it, standard lock trigger. All right, this is how a mistake can happen. I'm pulling back on this trigger. All right, you have your play area here, and then your firearm goes off. So I mean, it's easy with a regular firearm as well, but with this Canik, if you do carry a firearm that has a updated trigger on it, or add adjusted trigger to where the pull is not as hard. Sometimes you may have a younger child that may get a hold of your firearm. They may not be strong enough to pull this trigger. All right, so they might stop before it goes off. Okay, with an updated trigger like this that I have here on the Canik, again, I'm gonna go ahead and show you all that this is clear. There is no magazine in it. All right, there's no bullets in it either. This is actually one of my show firearms, so no bullets even touch the magazine. I have both magazines here over on the side. Just to show, no rounds in the magazine. Magazines are clear, empty. All right. But it's clear. Now with this firearm, like I said, I have an updated trigger on here. Barely pulling back. Alright. This trigger is a 3.5 pound trigger pull, whereas your Glock is a 5.5 pound trigger pull. So if a child get a hold of a firearm that you have an updated or adjusted trigger on, and it's a lighter trigger pull, it can be that quick to have an accident. So you want to make sure if you do have a firearm that have an updated trigger or a lighter trigger pull or something like that, you really want to make sure you either take your magazine out and store your magazine somewhere else, and make sure your firearm is empty before you store it. Or you take one of these options here, whereas you may take your safe, put your firearm and your magazine into the safe to lock it up. Put you a gun lock on the firearm, or put you a trigger lock on the firearm to make sure that it's not accessible to children. But again, with anything dealing with firearms. As long as you practice, get more proficient. Like I say, it will be a little bit of an adjustment, especially if something happens. You got your adrenaline pumping. You have to find the case. You have to find the key. You have to make sure you're able to get the key into the actual hole onto the lock. Go ahead and make sure you open it. Get it all the way open. Now, mind you, again, you're doing all of this stuff while your adrenaline is pumping. You're trying to figure out exactly what's going on. You need to go in and clear your home. You need to make sure your children are safe. All of that. So you have to make sure that you have the mindset and everything, and make sure you go through different options and see which option will be best for you, better for you in your lifestyle, depending on the way your home is set up, depending on where your children's bedrooms are in the home, and everything like that. So you have to make sure that you look at different options. Make sure you'll be able to get to your firearm quickly. Make sure you'll be able to get out to clear your home safely. Me, myself, if I had a preference, I'll go with a safe, like a little handgun safe like this. All right, but again, they have the I think this safe ran me roughly about 30 bucks, 35 bucks or something like that. But again, this has the key to it. Where are my keys? So this is actually one that has a key to it. Okay, they do have some that there's a way you can actually open it 3 different ways. You could have a fingerprint reader on it, where you can basically just hold your fingerprint, it reads it, and go ahead and opens the safe. It may have buttons on the side to where you can put your code in through the buttons, hit the buttons, they open the safe, and you also have a backup key to it as well. All right, those safes run roughly $120, $130 and up, depending on which safe you go with, which manufacturer you go with, and things like that. So you, like I say, you just want to be mindful. You want to be safe. And like I say, I mean, I know a lot of people may look at safes, be like, yeah, they're a little expensive, I'm going to go with something else. But you have to make sure that you keep in mind, it's not the price, it's the safety. Okay? So depending on how safe you want to be, how as far as like functionality and how quick you can actually assess the situation, get to your firearm, and be able to clear your home, that's what matters. That's basically what you're paying for. Okay? That's what you're paying for. So don't really too much look at the cost of it. It's the safety aspect of it as well. All right? I know the cost is sometimes a little bit higher, but again, what do you want to pay for it? Do you want to pay $150, $200 for a safe that you're going to make sure is working properly and is making sure that your firearm is safe around your children? Or do you want to explain the incident in court and have to deal with that way as well? All right, so there's a lot of stuff that you have to deal with, a lot of stuff that you have to look at, things that you have to think about when it comes to actually locking your firearms up. Okay? If you have any questions, you can contact us on www.3tierdefense.com. That's the number 3, TIERDEFENSE.com. Or you can contact us on Facebook under 3-Tier Defense and Instagram under 3-Tier Defense also. If you have any questions, have any ideas, if you have any other options, something that I probably didn't cover in this video and would like to see another video dealing with locking up and storing firearms around children, any ideas or anything, we're open to all of that. So just send us an email. Email address is 3tierdefense@gmail.com, or again, you can go through the website, Facebook, or Instagram. Let me make sure I'm not forgetting anything before I end this video. Also, real quick, just to recap on your AR style firearms and also on your handguns as well. Instead of even really locking them up in your boxes, just take the magazine out, store the magazine somewhere else away from your firearms. Go ahead and put your firearms into the box, but don't put your magazine in the box unless you're actually locking the box up. All right. You can take your magazine, you can store this somewhere else, out of the reach of a child, but you know where it's at, whether it's in the clothing drawer, sock drawer, underwear drawer, shirt drawer, anything, up in the closet, somewhere that a child can't get a hold to it, and put your firearm into the box. Make sure these are separated. Again, on the Springfield box, you put your firearm in this box. You do have the latches here on the top where you can lock the actual box with your firearm in it. If you have a safe, like I said, if you want to go ahead and lock your safe up, you can put the firearm and your ammunition into the safe as well. And just make sure that you lock the safe. That way, children can't get into your safe. The shotgun, make sure you have your ammunition, again, whether it's up in the closet, locked up somewhere, in one of your drawers, somewhere where it's easily accessible. Make sure that your shotgun is put up somewhere else, whether it's under a mattress, under your bed, in the closet, somewhere off to the side, or even stored up high to where a child can't get a hold to it. If you do need to get your shotgun to clear your home, make sure you take your ammo. Go ahead and load the firearm. Alright. Go ahead and rack one in the chamber. Go ahead and clear your home. Alright. Go ahead and take this out. And again, with your AR or AK style firearm, take your magazine out. Even if you have the rounds in here, again, store this up high, somewhere where a child can't get a hold to it. Put it in the drawer, lock it up somewhere else. All right. That way you won't have any accidents, you won't have any misfires. Child can't get a hold of that firearm. Even if they do get a hold to your shotgun or your rifle, there's no ammo in with it, so they won't make a mistake and shoot themselves, shoot a family member, shoot a friend, something like that. Make sure your ammunition is always away from your firearm when you have children in the home, or again in a handgun situation, make sure you have everything locked up. All right. Again, this is Curtis with 3-Tier Defense. If you all have any questions, www.3tierdefense.com or 3-Tier Defense on Facebook and Instagram. Appreciate you all for watching. Get with you later.